As this 394 saga continues, this has been under pressure for, I don't know, a minute or so, and it's come down a pound and a half of pressure. And there's a small crack in the intake block. This small of a leak. Jesus. A couple of you guys called it and said the intake block's famous for this. And you know, I gave it a quick look. It actually looked fresher than anything else that was on this bucket of crap. And sure enough, somebody got ham-handed and cracked it. All right, let's have a look here. There's your new old stock from 2012. This is getting a little surface rust on it, but it's new. This, in that dark area you see right there, is a hairline crack. It actually shows up better like this than it does to the naked eye. 300 years of innovation. All right, so I got the new intake block installed. But by the way, without removing the jug, that takes a little bit of dexterity. I put the gasket in there, just put a little bit of assembly lube, something that was nice and tacky on it so it would stay. And then just ever so gently nestled everything in and got started. So I just went upstairs and made myself another cup of coffee because nothing says calm and serene like more caffeine. But we're still holding pressure, which is fantastic. Now it's airtight, and let's throw a little bit of vacuum because that counts. I had to get kind of creative with this. I took my compression tester, took the Schrader valve out of it, and then hooked that up to my Mighty-Vac just because this has got an integral impulse line that's molded into that intake block. So just use some random rubber stuff to block off the exhaust and in between the carburetor and the intake block. And like I said, you know, just took the Schrader valve out. And imagine that, it's holding a ton of vacuum. Should run a shit ton better. You know, just goes to show you, you know, I've done hundreds of rebuilds, K-splits, and you know, you get complacent and this is what happens. You know, I probably wasted a couple hours going back and rechecking my handiwork, and I can't figure out why it won't run right. Swap carbs, swap ignition coil, shit, you name it. And it was just a hairline crack. And that. Unbelievable. If there's ever a question if Prayer's still alive, there's your answer. I made just a couple of quick cuts, so we'll see how this goes. I mean, I didn't even get through there. Just, you know, I tuned it by ear and then came out here and stuck it in a stick of white oak. Let's see how this does. You might have to bear with me. I might have to make some last minute adjustments while we're running, but at least it runs. The intake block seemed to cure what was going on there. That's a damn miracle just witnessed. We'll wrap this up with a little bit of parts list of what went into bringing this hunk of shit back to life. All right, well, let's wrap this up, and I'll try and make this brief. Oh, I don't think I've ever been more happy to see a saw finished and running properly than this one. This really should have been a case where you took the gas cap off and slid a brand new saw up underneath it and put the old gas cap on it. At least the fuel cap didn't leak. But yeah, this was pretty challenging, and definitely a lesson in what not to do unless you've just got a wealth of spare parts to do this with. But you know, when you consider these pro saws are typically run really hard, and there's a lot of wear and tear on some stuff, and when you want to turn it back over to somebody, you're gonna have to replace some of those worn parts. And this one was death of 1,000 cuts and then some. So let's I got you in my vise. Let's take a look at this nonsense. Oh my God. All right, here's the new parts. Top handle, muffler studs and nuts, rope rotor, the dust shield that goes over the recoil spring, a clutch drum kit, chain tensioner assembly. None of that stuff was here. Well, the clutch and drum were worn out something awful. A case gasket, seals, new bearings, a heat shield was destroyed. Found out the brake band was broken, carb kit, fuel line, fuel filter, starter pawls. It was actually missing a whole starter pawl. You know, the bolt, the little spring that and the little washer that goes underneath the pawl. The intake gaskets, the intake block for a spark plug. The saw was re-ringed. Let's see. Threaded inserts for the fuel tank. Underneath, where those two bolts go in, one of them was missing and the other one had been cross-threaded at some point in time. The threads were screwed. Where did we leave off at? The idle speed tab, which is almost impossible because these saws have kind of like a Phillips end. Here, I'll show you. Oops, just put that anywhere. So if you look in there, that's the idle speed screw. So unless you got some needle nose, you can't get in there. Would have loved to replace this grommet that goes there, but those are, and have been for quite some time, no longer available. The muffler support bracket. Let's see. Pull cord, a handle, and that black divider right there. Were all replaced. And here's a list of some used parts that I had laying around. Obviously the air filter I gotta find. It's here. The inside dog, throttle lockout, plug wire with a boot, a spare carb. I'm still convinced that first carb that I ran on it, wide open throttle, it was set at about 1/3 and still 4-stroking. So pretty sure that carb was toast. Ton of screws, new and used, and the exhaust gasket, and some bar nuts. Jesus. It's done. Oh, wait. And it got one last thing. So when you put the high top filter cover on here, and today was the first time I did this, you'll notice that when you try and snap this down, it won't go. On the old, this is an original 394 top. The 394s had skinnier clamps. So this air filter cover, unless he has a real 395 top air filter cover, we're going to have to relieve on both sides of here enough room for all four of these snaps to fit in their home. Not to mention touch-up paint. Oh my God, what a disaster. Anyway, it's done. I can't even tell you how many hours I got tied up in this. That's one of those ones you don't want to count. But anyway, that's done. Thanks for watching, and we'll get on to the next project. Hopefully it won't be nearly this bad. Actually, I don't think anything will be.